YouTube, what is up? It's your boy here, Troa, back again, once again. We're here for the MLG GBO2 podcast, the fourth edition of it. We've hit the big number 4. Today we're going to be breaking down the hangar. We're going to be talking about everything that comes along with that, what you can probably expect, what you're probably going to want to use it for. On top of that, we're going to be talking about the Gym Guard custom that just came out. What we think about its shield, what we think about its long-term viability in the game, everything else. Then at the end, more towards the end of the show, we're going to be talking about tactics, particularly in the form of when to push, when not to push, when to push as an individual unit, etc., etc. Now, today we are once again joined by Aryak Nova,
That's right.
as well as your favorite Brit, Suplex.
Hello, guys and gals. How you doing?
Now, Suplex, I'll let you kind of be the first to dive into it. What's going on with the hangar, man? What's your take on it? What can we expect with it?
So the hangar system. I assume everyone who's watched this podcast has heard the hangar system is coming. Finally, Leona's finally gonna have a role. She's finally gonna do something instead of saying I'm preparing the MS hangar. So finally, the camp is pretty much complete now. So, for those of you who don't know or need a bit of details on the specifics, the hangar system will allow you to add certain perks and bonuses to your mobile suit's stats and other little miscellaneous bonuses, I should say. So you have 4 slots. 2 are, well, 1 you get for free. 2 you get for getting to a certain rank. I'm not certain of the rank. Hang on, let me just. It's something. It's something.
It's a relatively low rank.
It's a relatively low rank, so you should be able to get that. So that leaves you with 2 free hangar slots. The third requires a silver medal, I believe, which you can get just by playing the game. And the fourth will require a gold medal, which is coming in June. So the fourth one's going to be locked off to most of us. Though tomorrow, as is, I think it's the final. No, we've got 2 days left of May. This will be your only time to get your free hangar slots used until you get your next silver ones next month, or gold, since we're getting gold, I suppose. So yeah, we've talked about these perks and how it attributes every slot you put a mobile suit in. It'll take around 70 hours to fully develop, and you'll get 100 points. Now, 100 points really isn't much when you're looking at higher cost suits. We'll take the Zaku 2 Kai, for example. That's a 250 suit, and that has 490 points to get all the perks. There's 4 perks. So that's going to be, well, if anyone can do some quick maths, 70 times 5, that's 350. 350 hours to fully max out a level 1 Zaku 2 Kai. That's a long time. But for, let's say, the Gundam, that's it's going to be 1,460. So you're really getting up those numbers. Yeah, that's nearly triple the time. But you can increase the time, or decrease the time rather, with tickets, which you'll get with recycle tickets. So you'll get hangar tickets and recycle tickets. The perks will vary from suit to suit. We don't know all of the perks specifically. We know that you can increase the cap of your parts by 1, but these do have levels, so maybe they'll be level 2, level 3. We don't know yet. There's one called Propellant Tank, which we assume is going to improve the gauge, your boost gauge. There's some interesting, more less obvious ones called ADFCS and ADPA, which could be increasing your correction, but we don't know yet for sure. And finally, we'll just talk about how they're going to incorporate some of these tickets. So now you can get these tickets alongside recycle tickets, which is just nice. It means rolling duplicates doesn't feel quite as burning anymore. I think the higher the rarity of the suit you get, the more tickets you'll get, just kind of like recycled. Also, rolling a duplicate will increase of a mobile suit will increase your development points for that mobile suit. We'll see how it all works in practice because it isn't quite as well as explained, especially when it's going through Google Translate. But yeah,
There's one thing I do want to add into there really quick before I let you continue,
oh
Suplex, is
yes,
that the tickets that you get, those will be specific for the rarity of your suit. So let's take a 3-star Zigaki. You'll be able to, you're not going to be able, the way that's set on the website is you're not going to be able to use, let's say, 2-star tickets on a 3-star. You're going to have to use your 3-star tickets for a 3-star suit, et cetera, et cetera. So, 1-star tickets, your bronze tickets for your 1-stars, silver tickets, 2-star suits, gold tickets, 3-star suits. Kind of just how they have it in the gacha system.
precisely, and yeah. How this is going to influence gameplay, I think it'll be quite a subtle little nudge, get in the game, just allowing people to further refine some of their builds. And we don't know the extent of these perks. They might allow extra weapons, maybe extra skills, we don't know, or it could just be little stat improvements. We'll have to see on the day. It's coming tomorrow, I believe, or tonight, depending on your time zone. So looking forward to it. It's going to take a while to actually get these suits, and I think we should also mention for the first week, I think it is,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get 200 points per 70 hours. So it's a 2 times bonus.
It's definitely a lot of information, man, to kind of go over with the hangar, even though it's just for such minute potential stat increases. They definitely pumped out just a bunch in that entire update.
For sure, for sure.
No, Nova, what's your take on the hangar, man? I know you've spoken about it quite a lot.
I mean, everyone's been expecting it. I pretty much expected the part slots upgrade. The other ones look neat, but I mean, there's not a whole lot to say that Suplex already hasn't. Uh, it's the hangar. You finally have a use to put some mobile suits in there. Enjoy the 3 slots you get while you have them. The fact that they're adding the tickets along with recycle tickets is kind of encouraging whales to go out there and whale their fucking hearts out. What do you expect out of a gacha? I believe when you have a mobile suit inside of the hangar, you also can't use it in sorties. That's important to note.
You can use them in
Oh, you
sorties,
can.
unlike
They
in
changed
GB1.
that.
Yes, yes, they've changed that. I think they just didn't want people to lose access of suits for 70 hours. That would be quite painful. They have stated there won't be any failures like last game,
Yep.
and you will be able to sortie with them, which is good. Very.
Yeah, imagine
It's,
having your suit in there for 70 hours just to fail.
this is it, yeah, that was a problem with the last game. It's also free, so I know some people started saving DP for the hangar system. Fret not, guys. You can spend that DP on whatever you want. The hangar system does not rely on anything but time and those weird tickets if you want to speed that.
Yeah, the big TP that everyone was saving, and now it's the tickets. Do want to say what's up to chat. What's up, Phoenix? What's up, Coolio, Spud, Blade, Four, Yao Yao, Black Delegation. Appreciate you guys for coming up for the podcast. And Yao Yao, to what you're saying, was the ticket clause posted after the blog post or something? When I've translated it twice on their website yesterday and also this morning. Um, it's set. I can't pull it up right now because we're in the middle of the podcast. But if you actually go ahead, perhaps I'm wrong, but check it out on their website. I believe it did say that you have multiple ticket things. You have to use like the gold on the, like your 3-stars, etc. Perhaps I'm wrong, but when it translated it for me, that's what it was saying. But my thoughts on the hangar is it's going to be pretty cool because there are a lot of times with these certain suits that you do acquire. They're kind of low on slots. Low on slots. You usually want to put sometimes there'll be something like, oh, you want to put another boost slot on, right? But you're one close range slot away, man. You're one close range slot from adding an additional 5 or 7 boost. Now you're going to have that opportunity to do so. It's going to increase your suit performance slightly, but they did say, I believe Suplex was just talking about this, but they did say it's not going to affect it too much to where, hey, you're not going to get outperformed if, regardless of the suit that you use. It's just going to be a slight performance thing. It's going to be mainly for what your suit's already good at least from the dev blog post. Um, So yeah, that's basically the hangar. You might get new skills. There might actually be specific parts in the hangar that you can get. That might not be in the ticket window. That's yet to be determined, though. We're going to find out um, tonight, and within the next week or so. Now, in terms of the gym guard custom, we've seen a lot of these this past week. I have some thoughts on it. They may not be popular thoughts, especially with the Fetty crowd. Um, Suplex, I'll let you get the head start on the guard custom here. What do you think about it, man?
What a misfire! This suit is just it could be something great, but I haven't seen any evidence of it. In theory, it could do some good work with the beam dagger. I mean, at base, it's 2,200. That's at level 1. So it's got something going for it. It's got melee going for it. The problem is, it's got the weapons to really support a shooter build as well. And it just doesn't meld well together. It's a bit like the Zaku Desert type. It's a suit that should be a shooter suit, but it's a melee suit for God knows what reason. Um, ah, it's just disappointing. It's just disappointing. The suit itself isn't terrible, but it's a very campy raid that promotes a lot of just slow play. It doesn't really go out by itself. I've never seen them really take initiative to push. They're usually just defending all the time. And yeah, gym guard, defend, that's great. That'd be great if it was a support. But guess what? It's a raid, and quite frankly, I can't be doing with them. They're not my cup of tea, which is unfortunate because it looks awesome. It's got a cool backpack and it's got a big boy.
Raid's not being your cup of tea, man. That's it has the big shield. It has a lot of things with it. Um, I've seen the guard custom in action. I personally don't have one. I've seen them on my team. I've seen them on the enemy team. I've faced off against multiple of them, whether it be in space, on the ground, and I'm personally not impressed. I think there's some potential with it if they can, potentially make this it's a particular exclusive skill, maybe not exclusive, but special skill that it just came out with a bit better to where it actually functions. Um, the big issue with it is that you can stun it through its shield. I faced one last night. I was in the Zigaki. I was bailing out our down barrage, and I, for once, landed all 3 hits of the Mega Particle Cannon on the Zigaki on it, stunned them with that, and then I even had enough time to switch to my missiles and hit every single missile on the Gym Guard and stun him with that, and then I hit him with my melee combo and he was dead. Um, I think there's interesting aspects of the suit. I think the fact that you have you have the shoulder Vulcans, which can stun on the go. I think that's interesting about it. I think the beam gun does decent damage, and yeah, it's somewhat reminiscent of the gym light armor. The beam daggers, they do beam dagger does a lot of damage. It does almost as much damage as the Zigaki Vice Claws, but when it's big. It's big. How can I say? Draw. It's its shield. And the fact that you can stun directly through the shield doesn't take away really any a stun build up. That's just a big blow to it, man. I can't. Yeah, you have maneuver armor. We can already go through maneuver armor with a few weapons in the game, shotgun, multiple hit weapons, and the shield. Everyone was at least thinking, in this game, it was going to be improved from the last, and unfortunately, it's not. And that's a disappointment. I was kind of excited for the Gym Guard. I thought it would be an interesting suit if they tweak some things on it. That's not the case. And that's an unfortunate thing about it. It's having to stand still while using the shield to to fire. That hurts it. I think there's some defensive potential if you're on a defensive team, to where you're looking at the team. You're like, oh well, I have a white dingo sniper too. I have 2 yellows. Our other generals don't look to be very close range fighters. I think that's when you may want to use the Gym Guard the most. Um, yeah, I'd say that's the best time because then you have the shield for defensive protection for your other teammates. and you can also use some of its abilities to defend your teammates in close quarters combats. But in terms of being used as a normal raid and being not just being used as a normal raid, but being an effective raid, I don't think it has it. I don't think it has it. I saw poor Harley, man, poor Harley. She was playing with us the other day, and she's trying to be kind of sneaky, trying to play it like a normal raid would, and it just wasn't working out. They easily spot you. She's getting stunned up the wazoo. It was really sad. I was like, man, like this is. We had to run dual raid because she wanted to try it. I'm like, well, hey, I'll run Efreet guy. You run Jim Guard, and it just wasn't cutting it. Just wasn't cutting it. I believe she's actually switched to the BD1 after those games, and was doing pretty well at the BD1 at that point. But Jim Guard, I think one of the best things you're going to do is get top diversion. Nova, what's your take on it, man?
Well, for a raid, it's pretty disappointing with everything it's got. The split damage between melee and range, mostly focusing on range with the shield gatling, is most of what you'll likely see. People that feel brave with melee and want to get up close, awesome. As you said, it's mostly for defensive comps. If you have 2 white dingo snipers as your blues, a few yellows, and the GM guard custom, chances are the enemy team will want to kill themselves. Like that's just a slog fest. Talk about absolute passive fucking gameplay.
Yeah, right.
As far as potential, what it has, I say it can also act as mobile cover. Just put the shield down, you might be getting staggered, but your ally behind you at like say 350, maybe 400 if you're feeling ballsy. You can just have them beam shot from a distance and hide behind you. That's really about the most that I could think to use it for, because aside from that, it's just clumping up with as many as you can, putting down a wall of lead, but that's more trollsy than competitive. For its cost, there's just better options. That's really all it comes down to. And with that shield, if a Zagok or an Ifrit DS looks at you, well, you better pray they don't. Hitbox. Hitbox. Oh no.
Well, isn't it? I
The
mean,
shield gets staggered pretty easily most of the time when I'm playing any kind of GP that has, like, I guess, Vulcans, Gatlings, MMP-80s. Normally the stagger value builds against the shield, and I just rush in, get an easy melee on them at that point, because what can they do? I'd say if it had better skills and, maybe didn't stagger as easily, it would be significantly better, but that's not the timeline we're living in. This one is.
well, I was thinking possibly as a little spicy combo you could pull. Have your Jim Guard go prone with the shield up front, and have 2 Geigans roll in behind and go hold down behind the shield. Boom! You got an impenetrable wall right there, boys.
That's an actually a pretty interesting thing to do with it. If you
Complete waste of time, but yeah.
Oh no.
if you want to go ahead and try that out, listen to Suplex. That'd be pretty funny. Um,
Oh no.
I am reading chat, by the way. Steven does say a skill for the Poe Rider that makes it so you don't lose your defense and Hades. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Don't lose your defense, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to keep the defense. Um, they're going to keep it to where your attack and speed gets raised, but your defense goes down in that mode. He says if it goes prone with the shield gatling, it becomes a roadblock. It does become a bit of a roadblock, but it's I wouldn't call it too much of a roadblock. I call it more of a speed bump. Speed bump. Oh, and also what's going on, Leather? What's going? um, I. I think the biggest thing though with the guard custom is I'm also disappointed in the fact that it has no shield bash. There is no shield bash on this whatsoever. I thought Kobe and company would be rather. They would give us the more disappointing version of this, which would be the counterattack animation would be a shield bash. They didn't do that. They didn't give us any way to hit people directly with the shield. Shield bash would have been really dope, and it probably would have made it a little bit more interesting. I guess more our flavor of suits if it had the shield bash, but unfortunately, it didn't. Leather says, talk about how the white Dingo Gym Sniper 2 is Garbo. Low test mobile suit. Yeah. We can actually talk about that for a moment here because this is something I've noticed a lot. A lot more people have gotten White Dingo Sniper 2s in the past week, and they insist on playing the long range sniper game with it. Um, and unfortunately, that's really not the way you want to play it. The White Dingo Sniper 2 has some advantages as a GP compared to some other ones. Mainly, its instant stun beam sniper rifle. But you want to play this as a close range, mid range GP with the sniper for instant stun. But the issue with that is it has low melee priority. So pretty much anything can go through it. It has its shield, which is nice, has a roll, but this isn't a suit that I would recommend you frequent. I know it has a lot of, I know it's a fan favorite a bit, especially for the Federation people out there. It's really cool. It's the White Dingo Sniper too. They like it, and I think it's a I think it's an all right suit. I don't think it's complete garbage. I don't think you can't salvage it, but I definitely wouldn't be someone who says, "Hey, I'm going to main this." But if you want to play that suit, how I would put it is you play it midline, close range, and you try to take advantage of the fact that it has high performance balancer with an instant stun, beam sniper rifle. So don't snipe with it. Leave the sniping to your gunner Gundam or your snipers. Play mid range with it. Support the front line. That's when you're going to have the best success with the Jim White Dingo Sniper 2. Thoughts on the guard in space? Um, in space, I think it's a little bit more interesting, primarily because of the fact that we're talking 3D movement now. You have to be completely aware of all your surroundings, and I think a lot of times in space, um, the guard custom shield's going to save it more often than it will on the ground, and it can actually be a little bit more of a benefit because one, people can't aim in space, so that's already a plus for them. They have to not only hit you, but they also have to kind of miss your shields to do actual damage to you. Two, a lot of people aren't very good with melee in space, so the frequency of somebody coming up, stunning you, and then coming up and trying to melee you isn't just as high. They're more likely to fuck it up than actually go through with it. So I think it has a little bit more value in space. I think it's better in 300. You see, at 300 space, maybe 350, but then you get into the point where you're dealing with Rick Dom 2s and whatnot. I think 300 space is its best. 350, it's okay. 400, I wouldn't bring it to 400 space. I wouldn't bring it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. What I do want to say is, hey, it'd be a shame if a skewer shot it.
Yeah, that's right. If you have a skewer shoot it, you're pretty much screwed at that point. Nothing's going to block that, unfortunately, for the guard custom. But yeah, guard custom, just the overall, just disappointing raid. They could have made it very cool. They could have made it a lot more fun. They could have made it a bit more interesting. It does have some damage potential if you're able to get up close, but the fact that it doesn't it doesn't stick to standard raid rules, I think hurts it. And the fact that it's very easily noticeable, um, that hurts it as well. Again, as a raid, you don't want to be out there in the open getting noticed all the time. You want to have at least some form of surprise attack upon your enemy. The guard custom lacks it. It just lacks any potential for sneak attacks or surprise attacks. Now, one thing that we wanted to talk about, I mentioned this earlier, what we're going to talk about, is the when to push. When to push and when not to push, whether it is as you're a individual unit or when you're with your team. Now, there's multiple examples of this. I'm going to let Nova take it from the top here. I know he has a lot of strong thoughts on this. Nova, when do we push, either as a unit or just as a team in general?
At all points, forever. Never stop pushing, baby. Just keep going until the enemy team is. But no, for real, it really depends on what you're playing. Some units are better as solo units, like I'd say the stealth raids. They're better by themselves on average. GPs, you generally want to stick with your team because, well, yeah, you're a GP. You're supposed to be holding a line. If you're not doing your job right.
Right.
Supports are normally by themselves unless you're a close range support, like say MP gun cannon, the gun tank apparently, and just things of that nature. Gelgoog cannon. things of that nature, things that are generally supposed to be there and push with your team. But as a whole, it all comes down to the flow of battle. Normally, you want to push into the central point in the map because that typically gives you a better advantage as far as terrain, things you can scale, just vertical advantage, all kinds of fun stuff like that. In desert, obviously, you want to take that. In port, who doesn't want to take sea? City is a little bit trickier. City is more of a constant, hey, where's your team? And mountains are clusterfuck. Then you have impact. Impact is another one of those special little clusterfucks where it's either make or break. But pushing is one of those things where you really have to understand the composition of your team. Specifically, if you have an entirely passive team, you're not going to be able to push. If you have a bunch of white dingo snipers, you're not going to be able. You're likely just going in there to get shot by a couple yellows, and that's never fun. That's never fun.
For sure.
As a raid, you're probably one of the primary pushers because your job is to kill the yellow and make sure it's dead. And once that's done, your GPs can push up really nicely. So, again, it really comes down to your team composition and how competent your teammates are at their jobs. You want to have an aggressive push most of the time because when you do this, as it happens, the enemy team starts making a lot more mistakes when they're pressured. It's easy to hit a shot until someone's shooting you back, especially for supports who apparently have no idea how to deal with people in their personal.
For sure. Definitely. I think my thoughts on when to push is you always want to have at least a semi-aggressive mindset. I'll kind of go through each map on what my personal strategy is, and I'm primarily a raid player, especially when me and Claw Gang play. It's always, well, hey,
Boost.
82 boost, but it's always Troa. Hey, pretty much you're gonna play raid for the most part, unless Leather plays raid for us. When in that case he'll be playing Dwash or something.
To be fair, when you don't play raid, the supports don't tend to die on the enemy team.
We're not gonna talk about that, but usually how I'll start with impact site and what my mindset on that is. I think on impact site you should always be pushing, always. It was so close quarters. You constantly want to have your team just going balls to the wall, all in on the enemy. You want to just dominate them from the get go, or else you get into a very weird slugfest on impact site where you're constantly trading shots across the middle of the little ridge, and it's just not very fun at all in that instance. You want to be aggressive. You want to get to the enemy. You want to stun lock them. You want to take them out very, very quickly. Aggressive team comps on impact usually work the best. As a raid on impact, if you're coming in from, I believe, team A, you want to push right side. If you're coming in from team B, you also want to push right side. Right side, on regardless of which side you spawn on, is going to give you the best opportunity to get to the supports. I know. I believe Team B is the side with the giant rock, kind of where you can use for cover and stand upon. So with Team B, you're going to want to go right, and you're going to want to go over the little ledge on top where a sniper could be there. Usually, right now in the game, there's no sniper there because it's very easy for them to get hit at, and you want to push around the side from the back and try to hit the supports that way. If you see GPs coming at you when you're right there on that on top of that little hill, where the sniper would be, you kind of want to fall back, and then you want to start pushing left a little bit. And because now the GPs are going to be trying to push up, go after you that way. You're going to have a small window of opportunity to get to the support, depending on what raid you're using and how fast you are. When you're coming in from Team A, normally I see a lot of raid players, they'll just go straight left. But the issue with that is the majority of the team on the other side, they will go full on right side, and they'll kind of hover around that rock. You don't want to do that. You kind of want to go just go through the normal pathway, take right, kind of hover around there for a few moments, see what the GPs are going to do, see if the enemy GPs are going to break off a little bit. If they do, make a beeline for that support. Just go straight past the buildings, right there to where they're going to be on that rock, and whatever you're using, give them what you got. When we're talking deserts, I think the best way to push on there is one, everyone go for the hill. Don't go for the side points. That just kind of that really cucks you as a team. In all honesty, when you have people going for the side points, and I know some people might listen as well. I'm capping a point over here, so we have another opportunity to spawn in, and and that can be useful, but that's more useful if you lose the initial push on the hill, right? You want to try
Yeah,
to
the only time you should go for any other point is once a team has already capped the hill.
definitely. You want to go all the way. Everyone needs to be focused on that hill in the very beginning of the game. Just push up straight. Sometimes GPs usually will take the middle. If you're a raid player, you'll want to take one of the side routes, and usually the best route to take um, as a raid is the right side of the hill on whichever side you're on. Hug the side because the support's usually going to go up to the little hills, little ledges that they now have there, and they're going to try to rain fire upon your GPs right there in the middle. You'll usually have an opportunity to go up there and deal with them accordingly um, at that point on desert. Now, mountain, mountain's just a full-on push. In all honesty, there's minimal strategy needed. Sometimes if you guys lose the ridge, you can go through the little cavern. You can go through the little cavern, try to get them from behind, especially if you know they're all focused on raining down on your team. Using that little pathway can be good as a raid. It's not something I frequent. Usually, I try to get up on the ridge, and I usually just try to take out the supports right there and then. If we are losing on the ridge, I'll go through the cavern, and that sometimes yields results. If not, it is what it is. Mountain's not a very fun map, in my opinion. As a team, you want to try to take C point on that map. You want to take C points, C point, C point, C point. Most important point that you can take, because then you're going to control the flow of the game. Whether the enemy has the ridge, you have the ridge, you have C points. You're now spawning in, and you can apply constant pressure on the enemy, and you now have an opportunity to potentially break through the enemy line. So that's my thoughts on Mountain. Deserted City, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because Team A has I would say, a definite advantage over Team B. I think Team B is a much more defensive game. I think Team A, you're able to be a bit more aggressive. I'll start with Team B since they're the more defensive game and it's a little bit trickier on when to push when you're that side because your snipers don't have as much room to really operate as compared to Team A, to where they have a wide open building that they can stand on. Your snipers and support types, they have two platforms to be on, but the platforms, you have buildings kind of completely in your way. It's not as ideal. It can work, but it's just not as ideal as the Team A. Now, I'll start with the raid, with what I think of as a raid on that side of the map. I won't go to point B, typically. What I'll typically do is I'll cut around. I'll try to go through the Team A, or the point A pathway, to get to their supports. Best case scenario is I end up getting to the support. I'm taking the pressure of the support off off our front line and off our back line. Worst case scenario, I'm getting after the support, but now I have a general purpose units coming down on me. Namely, this happens quite a bit if I'm on Team B. It's a BD3 or some sort of unit with multiple stun options, and that can be a very tricky situation as a raid. Peasant Dwellers. I would actually rather deal with the Peasant Dwellers than a BD3. Not gonna lie, much rather deal with the Peasant Dwellers than the BD3. So that's kind of what I do on Team B as a raid. Again, if you want to push towards B points, you can, but they're going to be pushing that way too. Their GPs, their front line is going to be pushing that way, and you're setting yourself up for a little bit more of a stone wall that you have to break through than if you go to point A. Now on the Team A side, as a raid, I always push right. Always push right. I will go through the B side. Try to get around on top of the back platforms of the sniper, either get them to move off and go down to the ground where I'm going to have a much better opportunity, or, you know, try to get up there myself and deal with them there. As a team on Team A, I think you're going to want to have your sniper backline. Your other units are going to push up, ideally with 2 in the middle, 2 trying to hold center, and with 2 or 3 pushing right. I think that's the best possible scenario, because then you can crash Team B from the middle and you can crash them from the right with long range support fire as well, backing you up. Team B, for a team tactic, I think the best case scenario is quickly cap. I believe it's F point. Cap F point. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have probably about 2 guys kind of to the left where they're going to be pushing right, having your support in a decent position, possibly on top of the smaller building right there in the middle, so where you can keep the enemy team from directly crashing upon you, while 3 guys kind of push middle, try to overtake middle, and go forward in there. I think that's the best possible case on city. Port base, push C. Go for C every time. Don't go to point D. Push, and take C. Point D is what you do if you know you're not going to get point C. If you guys have already lost at point C, you want to take point D, that's perfectly okay. But you want to be taking point C, pushing up there to get to the supports, but also just as a general unit. That's what you want to be doing. I think as a raid, I think if you've watched enough of my videos, some of my commentary, etc., you'll kind of, I don't have to say much about it on the podcast here. You guys have already generally seen what I do is I push left or right side, depending on which team I'm on. I hug around the HLVs, and I kind of let the GPs come up front first. So whether they're kind of the support's more isolated, and to where the GPs can't really peel back to save the supports anymore. Then I'll push whatever the hell it is, gunner, gun cannon, tank, goo ground, whatever. Then I'll go after them in whatever rated unit I'm in. But as a team, you want to push C, contest C, always pushing C, and you want to control as much open ground as possible when you're battling at point C. I think that's all the maps. I know that was a little bit long-winded. I guess I could talk about space really quickly. In space, you want to stay relatively grouped up. Don't get yourselves, don't get yourselves isolated too much. Stay as a group. Stay as a unit. The unit wins more than the isolated units win. In space, particularly. On the ground, it's a bit different. If you're isolated, you can win. In space, it's going to be a little bit harder for you. But again, that was a bit long-winded, but I think I wanted to really cover that as extensively as I could. Suplex, any thoughts on pushing?
Well, it's not going to be quite as in-depth as any of that, but here's an info for you to all dither on. The men who hold the hill are the ones who fall upon their enemies when the time comes. So, what you want to do is set up that defense and make sure you strike fast. Take central. Don't go and cap points. Take central. Fight your enemies. Be there with your brothers in arms. Make sure that you win central. And then you can think about pushing in and just punching everyone right in the ghoulies. But until then, a good defense will set you up for an incredible.
Suplex, I think you cut out right there for a moment.
Oh, crikey. Where did I cut
It
out
said
from?
it'll set you up for a
Great offense. There we go. A bit more dramatic there.
great offense is the best defense, right? Steven says, is speed or power more important to the host for your suit choice? That's a really good question, man. Speed or power more important? I think in my case, it's going to be more which has the best blend of speed and power. Because if I was looking at something just in a pure power standpoint, I would want to bring something like the gun tank, which is very powerful, but it's incredibly slow. I'm not a giant fan of the gun tank. I think I used to main it when the game first came out, but now I'm not a huge fan of it. I think again you want the blend. You want to find something that has the perfect blend of both speed and power, which has both, right? Act Zaku, for example, has speed and power. Zigaki has speed and power. Um, Dom high speed type, speed and power. Gallbody Alpha as well, speed and power. You want to find a suit that has a good blend of that fits your playstyle. But if you're going to be an aggressive player, you definitely want something that has that blend. You might want to. And in terms of just the game itself, are there any suits that are just more speed oriented than power oriented? I can't really think of any.
I'd say Don Barrage. It's an incredibly fast support that does trade damage, primarily just instant stuns.
Outside of the Dom Barrage, is there anything else? I can't.
I
I'm
don't think
blanking, man.
so. Um, R2 maybe. It has a lot of downtime on its weapons, though the grenades are really what bring it up to snuff. But again, I don't know. I don't know. I know there's a lot of suits that trade speed for power, but not many that trade power for speed.
Yeah, Steven,
So
I think the R2 is the best example of a GP that perhaps trades some power for more speed. But then even in that case, you can look at the R2 and go, well, it has these absolutely killer grenades. Um, you can use the machine gun on it, or you can use the simplified missile launcher on it, which both pack some level of power.
it's usually more mobile suits tend to lose durability rather than
Right.
they lose firepower. I mean, the Geigen is a perfect example. It's a support that is more squishy than most goddamn raids, but it has incredible weapons and quite high mobility. Though unfortunately now, the gun tank MP is now faster than it, which is just tragic. Buff the Geigen, please make it go faster. It needs to 150 speed base, 150 speed base, baby.
150 speed, that's right, 150 speed. Making the absolute drift king. Blade says Axaku does baby damage, but it's fast as fuck. I mean, I can't even say the Axaku does baby damage because I'll do like 3K, almost 4K on a downswing, depending on the suit. Um, I think
It's
the Axaku can do a fair bit of damage in one combo. I don't think it's a absolute powerhouse, but I don't think it's really lacking in the power department, especially if you build
I
it
think
for
it's
shooting in melee build.
I
If you
think it's yeah, it's mediocre to not to average. When the
take away the beam
base,
rifle,
it's
take
pretty
away the beam
mediocre.
rifle, take away the
Take away the
beam
beam
rifle,
rifle, yeah, it's very
then I'd
mediocre.
agree.
But even then, the beam rifle does lower damage than the Galgug beam rifles, which are just amazing. And the beam saber does a fair amount of damage less than other beam sabers at the cost, 200 damage less, and it doesn't have the highest melee multiplier. But if you give it those melee correction programs and you give it the shock corrections, it becomes average and you become more of a death of a thousand cuts, which you can easily perform since the suit is so agile and so good at recovering.
Yeah,
It doesn't really need to worry about the slightly lower damage because it can just keep coming. It can just keep coming at you.
yeah. That's the beauty. That's the thing with the Axoc is you're able to chain combos so easily and so frequently with it because of the beam rifle, the grenades, and just the overall speed of it. Um, I mean, I guess the Axaku is a decent comparison for it, but it's not a comparison I would completely agree with. Maybe perhaps the Pale Rider gives up power. You know, it's a little bit of a nifty suit. It's a bit agile, but even then, you're only looking at about what is it, 125 base speed?
I think it's 120. Yes, at 127.5. Yeah, with the ground
Okay,
topography included.
yeah,
So it's not the most price suit at the cost. I just don't think. I think even BB realized that overemphasis on speed and trading firepower is a bit silly. I mean, there's plenty of suits that trade everything and just aren't good at all. But that's a different subject for a different day. Just bad
for
suits in
sure.
general. I guess the Gym Sniper 2 trades firepower for speed. I guess that's one.
Yeah, I'd suppose Dom Tropin from Coolio.
I mean, the MMP
Yeah,
80 buff made it quite nasty now. I mean, it's not bad. The Sturmfaust does high damage. The Rakuten does high damage. The MMPs do nice damage. The Saber sucks. No redeeming thing about the Saber, but the rest of the weapons are alright,
for sure,
and
for
it
sure.
riffs really well.
Yeah, I guess the trope in a little bit, but back to the original question. I think you want to find a suit that has a very nice blend of it. Galbaldi Alpha, Axaku, Axaku Commander, things of that nature. For the Federation variety, Blue Destiny Unit 3, um, Geo4, even though I think it's going to pump out damage regardless. Um, I think the Gundam's still relatively decent. Um, things like that. There's not as many Federation suits that you can really look at and go, wow, these are absolute powerhouses. Other than potentially at 450 cost. Alex. I think the Alex is a really nice blend of speed and power. Very powerful melee game, beam rifle. You also have great movement speed with that. That's actually the picture perfect example for the Federation side is the Gundam Alex. I think that's blend of speed and power is what you're looking for. Other belt says, but now it's better. Pale Rider, he's talking about the Pale Rider. It's better because White Dingo Gym Sniper 2 has taken its title as lowest damage blue at 400. Yeah. And all the Gelgooks, too, for a nice blend of speed and power. Definitely. Definitely. Well, we covered every topic here for you guys. If you have any feedback for us, leave it here in the comments. Let us know. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. If not, you know what to do. Get at me on Discord, PSN, if you have any questions, if you have any topics you want us to cover. I'm in most Discord servers there are. Just look for Troa. Bam. Ping me, hit me up, DM me. Give us a topic if you have one. But hope you all enjoyed the show. Hopefully we were able to help you out, give you some more insights, give you some helpful tips. As always, we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope everyone enjoys the hangar tonight. And hopefully the new suit is everything you guys want it to be tonight. So.
It's not going to be.
Yeah, Gog,
The Gog.
please.
Give us the Gog. Come on, Kobe. Give it to us. Anyways, appreciate everyone watching. Until next week, take it easy and don't be a cunt.
Yeah.